Solo leveling is a tale about the weak becoming strong, going from having nothing to everything, overcoming obstacles and trials that were previously thought unimaginable while simultaneously working towards a larger than life goal. That all sounded really good. But what's it really about? Well, since you ask, there's this super OP dude who has really cool shadow thingies and go shing, 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 shing. And we have this scene right here. Let's rewind real quick. Too far, a little forward, just right. I just had to look at it one more time.
Damn, he had a fat ass.
Now we can cue the intro.
How you move?
Backstage at the show with some mad freaks on the road. Please don't call my phone.
So who is our main character? Sung Jin-woo is a broke F-rank hunter who is barely making it by. He has a mother and sister that he needs to provide for, but being known as the weakest hunter, he's always seen as a liability and really isn't expected to do much. In a world taken over by portals linked to other dimensions, Jin-woo relies on essence stones to get by. But being the weakest hunter and all, you can kind of see why that isn't going well for him.
Knock Rock out, get up, Rock!
But the days of Jin-woo being broke and weak are numbered. Bro's about to have the craziest come-up story of all time. Everything changes after one particular dungeon raid, and this dungeon is ranked D. It's a low risk, low reward raid. You go in, defeat the boss, collect the essence stones, and get out. It's simple, right? No. Of course it's not. This is a shonen anime. Shame on you for being so gullible. After defeating the boss, the party that Jinwoo is with is confused, because after completing a raid, the dungeon is supposed to start breaking down, but in this case that doesn't happen. So after further exploration, they realize that an extremely rare occurrence has gone on. A double dungeon has appeared. It's basically a dungeon inside another dungeon.
5 Whoppers and 5 more Whoppers.
And everyone in the party is nervous. They're not sure what to do because this almost never happens. So they end up leaving it to a vote to risk it and continue the raid, or leave and let the proper authorities know what's going on inside the dungeon. And of course, the vote ends in a tie and everything's left up to our wonderful protagonist. And what do you think he'll do? Make the right decision and leave, or say fuck it, it's a D-rank dungeon, the fuck are we gonna do, lose? If you answered B, you'd be correct. So they start hyping each other up.
Yeah, we got this.
There's no way we'd lose. It's only D-rank, guys, come on, what are we gonna do? Die? And let's stop it right there. Didn't their parents ever teach them not to go into a creepy dungeon that wasn't supposed to exist in the first place? I guess not. So after some hesitation and the group leader talking about some teamwork, they finally enter the double dungeon. And this is where shit goes down. You have betrayal between the party, death, pissy pants, an overwhelming force that's impossible to defend against, God, safe zones. While all of this is going on, you see people getting murked left and right. This was a one-sided slaughter. Now, boys and girls, did we learn a lesson about creepy dungeons? I guess so, because they decided to leave everything up to the F-rank hunter and chuck the deuces. The main one talking about teamwork was out the door immediately as soon as he had a chance. And finally, they pan to a sacrificial circle where the weakest one is left to fend for himself, aka our glorious protagonist, Sung Jin-woo. And with no hope left but still wanting to live, at the last second completes a secret quest. I'm talking buzzer beater timing. The quest was called the Courage of the Weak. Damn, even the notification bar was calling him weak. So instead of dying, he ends up getting discovered by some hunters, and the double dungeon that was there before has just vanished without a trace. So he wakes up in a hospital and he immediately realizes that all the limbs that he lost in the failed dungeon raid are all there and he's completely fine. And right after that, a player window pops up and alerts him that he has to complete tasks or he'll be penalized. And these aren't your average penalties, but Jinwoo doesn't care. He's in the hospital and he just survived a traumatic event, so he doesn't give it a second thought and ignores the notification. The quest window tried to warn him, but he didn't listen. Now look at him squirming and shit, and he has to endure this for 4 hours. Basically, he's in a video game like circumstance now. He's given simple quests like doing push-ups, sit-ups, and squats. And if an already extremely popular bald man didn't show you the power of simple workouts, Jinwoo will soon. Running for a little bit and doing like 100 push-ups is building up his body way faster than it normally should. Even the nurses around him are noticing that he's gaining muscle at a rapid rate and his appearance is also changing.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
Eventually he enters a solo dungeon, and at this point he's super weak, so the only way he can level up right now is by abusing animals. Wait, let me rephrase that. He's fighting otherworldly monsters that look like wolves to gain XP and level up. That sounds a lot better, doesn't it? So eventually, after farming wolves for a long time, he becomes so strong that he starts bitching them. So the ones that were left started backing off, but that didn't matter, he murked them too. And remember, all of this is happening in an exclusive dungeon that only he can enter.
Wait, he's doing the thing. He's solo leveling.
He finally comes across a dungeon boss, which is an extremely large snake. He's hyped after beating all those dogs. monsters, and he's confident, his adrenaline is rushing, and he thinks he can defeat the boss. So he goes in, he immediately starts fighting, but quickly realizes he is not built for this. For a good half an episode, he was getting smacked around like the Avengers Hulk. All those monsters that he just defeated are looking down with tears of joy. But come on now, you know this couldn't last long. He's the main character after all. He realizes, oh shit, this is my show, let me do something. Then proceeds to do my favorite move in anime. Special technique, lock in. I don't know what happened with Jinwoo, but some switch flipped in his brain. He hit the snake with the meanest bear hug of all time and did not let go. And after finishing, bro, whoa, pause. What I was trying to say was, after he defeated the boss, that man Jinwoo sat on his corpse and gave out an evil laugh. And this is when I found out. He is not to be fucked with. He has that dog in him. Immediately after leaving the dungeon, you get to witness just how stronger Jinwoo has gotten physically and mentally. Hunters are all gathered around this monster and they can't even leave a dent on him. But Jinwoo is able to immediately assess the situation, and he's like, are y'all seriously struggling with a demon rank monster? Then he proceeds to throw a broken sword at it, hitting its weak spot, allowing the other hunters to easily defeat it, and then walks away all dark and mysterious. Let me remind you, this was him just a few episodes ago. Jinwoo's progress so far has been exponential while only having his new abilities for a week. People around him are slowly realizing that something drastic has changed with him, especially his sister.
Where were you all day?
Oh, solo leveling. Bro, I can't. No side characters are really fleshed out during the first season. Although you can tell with all the cutaways and prep, the show is doing something with the Hunters Association and the S-rank hunters alike. They're definitely going to be an important part of the story moving forward. The first season though was really about the character development of Jinwoo, and him starting that process from being the weakest hunter to a dark and mysterious shadow controlling overlord. His next opponents were really just to show flexing that he can't be compared to the average hunter anymore. He joins a party that needs one more person to reach the quota to enter a C-rank dungeon, and he immediately realizes something is sketchy with this party because there isn't a single healer in it, and usually for a dungeon raid they're kind of a necessity. But since he's still technically an F-rank hunter, he can't really do anything about it, but he just stays on guard. And with him still being technically an F-rank hunter, he's relegated to bag holding. Damn. But before actually going into the dungeon, a dude who's way too overgeared introduces himself. Yes, I have to mention him because he's going to be extremely important to the plot later on. So they finally enter the dungeon and it's a cakewalk. Every monster besides the boss was defeated easily, and Jinwoo really didn't have to do anything. Well, he couldn't really do anything since he is kind of the bag holder. So after getting to the boss lair, it's revealed that the party leader is the brother of an S-rank hunter. And that's not really important right now, but in the later seasons, it's going to be extremely important. So just keep note of that. But what is important right now is that the party that Jinwoo's in is full of PKers. What is a PKer, you might ask? It's a gaming term that stands for player killer. And these hooligans right here planned from the beginning to sacrifice Jinwoo and the overgeared dude to the boss. And while the boss is munching on them, they're going to run away with the essence stones. Hey, that's a W method. They be farming low-level players and making bank. But of course, their plan got screwed up because they weren't expecting Jinwoo to be so strong. He easily defeated the boss. They show up right after the boss is defeated, and they think that the overgear dude was the one who defeated the boss. And you can kind of see why. Like, look at that armor set, bro. And they said, screw it, if the dungeon boss can't do it, I guess we're gonna have to take it into our own hands. And this is where they fucked up. They got Jinwoo mad and he's starting to have flashbacks. He starts genuinely tweaking. This is not natural. How could they not sense that something was wrong? I would be out of there immediately. I'm doing what that dude did in the first episode. I'm gone. So Jinwoo ends up getting a quest saying that he has to defeat them or he'll die. And that's all he needed to hear. All he was concerned about was how many levels he was about to get from this. And he started going crazy, clutching a 1v6, no effort. After the fight, Jinho, the overgeared dude, starts slobbering his shit.
Oh, great master. You did such a good job.
Oh, thanks I guess. You can leave now. After this, he goes on another side quest, fights another dog. What is bro's problem with dogs and wolves? But he ends up finding out that he can cure the disease that his mother has. But to do that, he has to get to the top of this tower right here. And it's full of just crazy strong monsters that he cannot defeat right now, so he just tables that for another time. A quick summary of Jinwoo's next fight is Jinwoo is going against a crazy dude who's super fast. He's also part of the Hunters Association. The guy ends up underestimating Jinwoo's strength, and that was his biggest mistake. Jinwoo ends up winning the fight, and he steals bro's own moves from him. That's crazy disrespectful, but this won't even be the last time he does that. And here we are. I'm sorry I kind of skipped over that last fight, but the last two episodes are where it's at. There's the introduction of Egress and his overwhelming strength. Even after all of this leveling up he's done this whole season, he realizes he's still no match for him. So instead of fighting Ingress while he's using a sword, he's like, I bet you won't throw hands though. And Ingress felt disrespected. He dropped that sword immediately. And he didn't know that he just fell for Jinwoo's plan. Using his speed to his advantage, Jinwoo narrowly wins by using a dagger. He cheated. He broke his own own rules. How is this an honorable fight? But after defeating Ingress, the real quote-unquote boss fight happens. He fights some fodder knights and mages, and even gets bullied by his past self.
You fat, you stink, and you ugly, and you broke.
And after defeating them, he unlocks a player class that he did not want. And he was thinking logically, he has a build of an assassin, so why is the system offering him a necromancer class? It just didn't make sense to him, so he clicked no. And the system didn't even allow that. You thought you had a choice? So he ends up accepting the class, and I guess now he's a necromancer.
Okay, look at his emote. I just got demons coming inside me.
He didn't really know what that meant, so the system gave him a tip. You can't make those knights over there your little shadow minions. So he does it, and he pulls out the coolest line to do it.
Get up!
And it works. Look at how cool these guys look. And the final thing he had to do was obtain Ingress. But Ingress did not want to get up. He was still mad he lost. It took Jinwoo all 3 times and a pep talk to get Ingress to finally get up.
Knock Rock out. Get up, Rock.
He hit him with that final.
Get up!
And boom, that's the end of season 1 of Solo Leveling. Clap it up. Could it have been better? Probably, but hey, I'm happy with it. One of the final things I want to talk about is the show's animation. I just want to praise whatever studio did the animation, just because of how consistent it is. There aren't any random dips in quality that you see in other shows. Yes, there's some CGI at some points, but it's blended in very well, and most of the time it's unnoticeable. So overall, is Solo Leveling the best anime ever? Of course not. Nothing could ever beat redo of... Never mind. But yeah, that's the end of my yap session about Solo Leveling. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Catch you in the next one.
Key.
I got crack on my side. Yeah, crack. Not right with the cooler. Cooler.
Don't fuck on the slide. Use Medusa.
Hey, with the stick. Yeah, the cutter would do.